El proyecto Artista Residente de Clark Square fue creado por el Distrito de Negocios de César Chávez bajo la iniciativa FARM. El objetivo de este es promover la economía y la cultura del vecindario. Esta es una producción de Johnny Munoz.
The Clark Square Neighborhood Initiative is a nonprofit corporation, 501c3 charitable organization that helps neighbors implement their quality of life plan in the Clark Square neighborhood on the near south side of Milwaukee. So there's about 45 square city blocks, 8,000 neighbors, a lot of beautiful people doing very great things, including very creative neighbors that make art, that make other expressions of their culture and of their identities. The Clark Square Neighborhood's Quality of Life Plan has 10 strategy areas. One of those strategy areas is economic development. One of the key drivers of the economy within Clark Square is Cesar Chavez Drive. The Clark Square Neighborhood Initiative, CSNI, we entered into an administrative contract with the bid in order to help them with their operations. But even before that contract, we had entered into a partnership called the Farm Project. In Espanol is el Proyecto Campesino. And it's really named the Farm Project not because we're doing urban agriculture or growing things other than growing creativity and economic development, but it's named in honor of Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers. The theory is if you plant the seeds of art and culture, that you'll be able to reap the harvest of great economic development positives.
Y con miras a sembrar esa semilla, el Proyecto Campesino creó el programa de residencia para artistas plásticos.
The Artist in Residence program started last year with a very generous contribution from the Mary L. Knoll Fund. We were able to put out a request for qualifications to Milwaukee area artists. We had great responses, and we were able to contract with an artist, a Milwaukee artist, Eric Ledesma. He grew up on South 21st Street.
Fue de esta manera que Eric Ledesma, originario de Puerto Rico, pero que vivió y creció en Wisconsin, en el barrio de Clark Square, quien se convirtió en el primer artista residente.
Somebody sent me an email about this residency. It was the first time that they were launching it, the Cesar Chavez Artist in Residence that Clark Square Neighborhood Initiative was running through their Farm Project program. And I decided, that I had roots in that area, and I decided to apply. The application process was quite straightforward. We had to submit images of your work and go through an interview process with you. Then you had to write a proposal. So it was this three-step phase. Luckily, they selected me as artist in residence. It was the first one.
Eric, una vez que inició con su residencia, se dedicó a trabajar en sus diferentes proyectos.
What I did was I wanted to make this space a gallery space to highlight different artists from the neighborhood and friends of mine that are Latinx. The other one was the food performance that I brought my mom. That was another project. I also went to a block party on 21st and Scott, which is the first home that I lived in as a kid. Is in that block. I started doing a button making project with the kids. So I collected all those throughout the residency of Cesar Chavez, and I have it as an archive. Another project that I did was the Iron Board Cafe. Clark Square Neighborhood Initiative was really kind to let me go back home. I started this pop-up cafe called Iron Board back in Puerto Rico, where we would bring food to locations that we knew that were incommunicated, that didn't have any electricity, didn't have any running water. That was all part of the residency, right? If I didn't have that residency at Cesar Chavez, I probably didn't have the means or the time to go back home and do a little bit of support. Part of the contract with the residency at Cesar Chavez is creating one permanent piece of artwork that'll be installed on Cesar Chavez Drive. My initial proposal was to do some clay masks with the community and somehow incorporate that into a sculptural piece. But of course that didn't happen. Throughout this sort of trials and situations with Mother Nature and Hurricane Maria and all these things, it kept resonating with me, the phrase, si se puede, yes we can, as a phrase that not necessarily, it was part of the farmers workers movement in the South that Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez coined as their phrase, but yes we can translate to everyday situations. I wanted to offer that to the community for them to see it, and it doesn't matter if it can be a political thing, but it can also be a mother or father that are struggling with their kids and some situation personal to see that and say, "Si se puede, yes I can." And I wanted to be bold and in your face and huge just to make an impact and that people see it. I considered myself an artist before the residency, but I hadn't honed in my craft, and I wouldn't consider myself something specifically. And through the residency, it really helped me develop and realize that I am definitely an artist that engages the community. Cesar Chavez residency gave me that opportunity and space to explore that and to find out what was going to be my next steps as a maker.
This year, we were very pleased to work with El Rey again to be able to get this space secured. It's a beautiful location that we were able to contract with another outstanding artist, Isabel Castro, and she comes to the table with a lot of great ideas and energy. She's worked in multiple media, and so we're excited about how we can explore those different media with the neighbors, both the residential and the business neighbors here on Chavez Drive. We have a great agenda planned for the next several months.
I was in the committee to select the next artist in residence, and it was really important and imperative to me that the next artist in residence was as engaged with the community as the residency is supposed to be. And Isabel Castro is an amazing fit for the residency, and I want her to contact me in anything. I want to be a resource for her.
El programa daba sus frutos y por segundo año consecutivo fue posible traer a otro artista residente, esta vez a una joven con muchas energías y con muchas ganas de demostrar su talento.
He was telling me how he had this vision of like the artist in residency and how they were kind of just like starting that up. So that's when I started meeting like Eric Ledesma, and I got to be there for like the first time they were kind of just like to start off the project. So then after that, I kind of had like the artist in residency in the back of my mind for the next year to apply for it. I kind of knew Ian through other networks of mine while I was a Escuela Verde high school student. And so throughout my years there, I've been kind of like practicing my own art and kind of just like working with artworks and artists working in education through internships and also other positions. And through them, I started connecting with the Clark Square neighborhood and different neighborhoods around. When I was applying for this position, I had so many ideas. So I know that I had to break it down to 3 branches. My project is called Soy Quien Soy, I Am Who I Am. And through that, there's 3 branches that branch it out. The first one is Ponte las Pilas, where it focuses on education. And through education, like your goals as an individual and your goals for the community and how they connect. And then the second project is called Rising, and that one's more focused on your own identity and upbringing as a person. So like the way you grew up and the dichos, that's what I'm focusing on for the second project. If you're very passionate about art and you really do want to like have a stepping stone into community art or like, you know, just practicing your own art, you can come here into the studio, Soy Quien Soy, and you can also add to the space and to the community. Also find your own artistic self and identity. This is the place where you can come and, you know, discover more upon you, like yourself.
People from the state of Wisconsin, no matter if you're as far north as Superior or as far southeast as Kenosha, I would plead to you to think about this little part of Milwaukee as kind of the cultural epicenter of Latino arts and culture for the state of Wisconsin. We are pretty bold in what we aspire to be on Chavez Drive, and that's the headquarters of, if you want to have an experience with Latino arts and culture, we want you to come to this part of Milwaukee.